Let's quickly take a look at this Waec 2026 mathematics questions. So from the first question we have, they said factorize completely in bracket h squared minus k squared close bracket minus p in bracket h plus k close bracket. So we'll be using the other side of the board for our solution. So let's take down the question. We have h squared minus k squared in bracket minus p in bracket h plus k. Okay, now when you look at this question very well, from your left hand side where we have h squared minus k squared, we can take the difference of 2 square of it, and that becomes h minus k all squared. Okay, since they are both having square, we'll take the difference of 2 squared and it becomes this. Then we'll have minus p in bracket h plus k. So we can now expand this. We can rewrite this as h minus k. Since it is carrying square, then we'll write h plus k minus p in bracket h plus k. Now when you look at the left hand side and at the right hand side of your expression, you will discover that you are having a common factor, which is h plus k, h plus k. So we are going to factorize and bring out the h plus k, and we'll have h plus k. Now if the h plus k divide from your left hand side, the h plus k cancel out this h plus k, then you'll be left with bracket h minus k. Now if h plus k cancel out this, then you'll be left with minus p, and this becomes the final answer. If this video is useful, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. So let's look at the number 2 question. A pilot flies Lisbon to Kuala Lumpur on a bearing of 163 degrees. If the pilot flew Kuala Lumpur to Lisbon on the same route, find the bearing. The usual way they ask this question is, if the bearing of Kuala Lumpur from Lisbon is 163 degrees, find the bearing of Lumpur from Kuala Lumpur. That is how they usually ask this particular question. So let's answer the question here. First, let's get our Lisbon. Let's get the point of Lisbon. Now let's take this as the point of Lisbon, where here is your north, here is your south. We are going to use L to represent that point, Lisbon. Now they said a pilot flies from this Lisbon on the bearing. Now what you need to take note of, whenever you are counting bearing, whenever you are counting a 3-digit bearing, this is a 3-digit bearing, you always start from your north pole. In cardinal bearing, you can start from either north or south, but for 3-digit bearing, you will start from your north pole. Now we already know that from north to east, which is here, this is east, from north to east is 90 degrees, but the bearing is 163 degrees. That means we will still have to move this way. Now this becomes our bearing of 163 degrees. Now this here is 163 degrees. Now this other point now becomes our Kuala Lumpur, so we are going to use K to represent that point. Now they said that same plane returned from this Kuala Lumpur back to this Lisbon using this same root. Now what is now the bearing? What they are asking you for now is the bearing of Lumpur from Lisbon, from Kuala Lumpur. That is the bearing they are asking. So you will simply draw this to assist you. Now this is the bearing of Lisbon from Kuala Lumpur. So the simple trick, we have to go back to our first point. Now we know that from our north to east is 90 degree, and also we know from north to this line joining Kuala Lumpur is 160 degree. That's from north to this point here is 160 degree. Now what will now this point be? What will this point now be? So for us to get this point, we are simply going to subtract 163 degrees from, we'll subtract 90 from 163 degrees. And when we do that, we are going to have 3 here and 7 here. That's 73 degrees. So the bearing or the degree here is 73 degree. Now using alternate angle, this angle here is alternate to this angle here. So here is also 73 degrees. Now since we know that this angle here is 73 degree, what we are going to do now is to add from your north pole to this pole, then we add the 73 degree, which we already know. Now from our north pole to this west pole, it's going to be 270 degree, because here is 90, here is 90, here is also 90. Now when you add all the 90s together, it will give you 273 degree. So what we are going to add next is this 73 degree to get our bearing of Lisbon from Kuala Lumpur. So plus 73 degrees. And when we do that, we'll have here 3, 7 plus 7, that's 14. Write 4 and take 1. Add the 1 here, here becomes 3. Therefore, the bearing of Lisbon L from K is 343 degrees, and that's the final answer.